It begins with a sound of frantic skittering, a susurrus of scrabbling claws and squirming tails that grows louder and more insistent by the moment. Then, boiling up from their hidden lairs in a tide of unwashed fur, they come, the venomous swarms of the Skaven. Hello there. In this video I'll be showing you how to paint your Skaven in 5 different colour schemes. If it's the weaponized plagues of the clan's pestilence that lure you in, the hidden and creeping death of clan's Eshen, vast overwhelming swarms of the clan's Verminius, the horrifying monstrosities of clan's Molder, or the madcap inventors and weaponsmiths of the clan's Scryer, we'll show you how to quickly and easily get your Skaven looking awesome and on the tabletop in no time at all. The paints we'll be using are on the screen now. Remember that this is for the 5 different colour schemes, so pick and choose the ones you'll need. We'll be painting our clan's Verminous clan rat to completion and quickly show how to do the other robes for the other 4 clans as well. We also have a list of the additional equipment we've used, but you can use whatever brushes you feel most comfortable with. If you're new to painting or want to brush up on your skills, you can check out the Citadel Colour Painting Essentials playlist to learn all about our paints and techniques. As you can see, we've undercoated our Skaven clan rats in grey cere to give us a nice and easy starting point. We'll also keep a pot of grey cere to hand for any tidying up along the way. Let's get painting. The clan's Verminous do not win their many wars through the application of twisted science or virulent plagues, but through their horrifying supremacy in numbers. Their militarized swarms will eventually overwhelm any foe, burying them beneath a mass of unwashed fur and stabbing blades. We're going to focus on the metallics first for our clan's Verminous clan rat. We'll be using Iron Warriors to block in all of the silver metallic details. So we're looking to pick out the weapon blade, extra shield plating, chainmail and any other working metallic areas that we can find. Remember to thin out your paint with a little bit of water before applying it, as we don't want it to be too thick and goopy and risk clogging over the details. Iron Warriors is a great dark silver choice for the Skaven, as it helps to make their armour look brutal and well used. With the silver areas blocked in, we'll now use Screaming Bell to pick out any trinkets we can find, as well as the trim detail on the sword. Try to be as neat as you can when blocking in here, as we'll be using contrast paints later on, so if you do overspill, just tidy back up with grey cere. With the well-named Screaming Bell applied, we just have one more metallic paint to do. For our last metallic, we'll use Runefang Steel to pick out the business end of the sword. This will help to make our weapon look nice and sharp, as it contrasts really nicely with the Iron Warriors paint. And there we go, our metallics are all blocked in and look awesome. And now we're ready to crack on with the rest of the paints. Okay, with all the metallics done, just remember to change out the water in your water pot, as you don't want any metallic flakes in the rest of your paints. Right, we're now going to use Flesh Tearers Red straight from the pot and apply it over all of the armor details as well as the outer shield. When using contrast, we want to load up our brush and then almost drop the paint over the area where we want to apply it, allowing the paint to completely flood the area. When doing this, it is much easier to paint one section at a time, making sure the paint has gone over the detail that you want it to, before moving on to the next area. If you overspill anywhere, just tidy back up with the previous colours. The reason why we're not doing traditional brush strokes here is that with contrast you may risk getting tide marks, which will take a lot of effort to fix. So by almost dabbing the paint on in dollops, you avoid this. Alright, with the Flesh Tearers now dry, we have a nice and rich red finish to our armour, and it pulls away from the edges nicely to give us that free edge highlight as well. We'll be moving on to Black Templar next, and using this to go all over the leather details that we can find. So that will be the weapon handle, shield buckles, belt and necklace. Try to be as neat as you can with this application, as Black Templar is a very dark and pigmented paint. Our leathers are all picked out and they look great. We're making our way through the process really nicely. Okay, next we'll use Wildwood to pick out the inner shield detail. Wildwood is a really dark brown that works perfectly for this. The inner shield is a bit of a tricky detail to do, so just be as neat as you can here and take your time doing it. Right, with that complete, we're now going to move on to doing the robes. We'll pick out the lower robes first, and for this we'll be using Sigvald Burgundy. As always with contrast paint, remember to load up the brush and then apply the paint over the area in controlled drops. completely flooding it so that the paint covers well and pulls away from the edges. Sigveld Burgundy is a brilliantly rich burgundy which just looks so cool on our clan's Verminous Clanrat. Alright, with the lower robes done, we'll now do the upper ones using snakebite leather. Apply it in the exact same way as before and try to be as neat as you can as well. With the upper robes done, our clan's Verminous Clanrat is really starting to come together now. We're now going to do the skin, and for it, we're going to use Targol Raid Shade. This paint works wonderfully for quickly capturing a reddish skin tone for our Clanrat. You can subsidize this for Soulblight Grey if you want to do a Grey Seer, Poxwalker for Clan's Pestilence Clanrats, or any other shade paint that you fancy for the skin. It's just a nice and simple way of getting the skin done quickly for your Clanrats. When applying shade, remember that you need to go back around the area soaking up any excess paint, as this will obscure details when it dries. A good trick here is to do a targeted area at a time. This allows you enough time to soak up the excess before it dries, thus avoiding unwanted tide marks when removing the excess paint. And there we go, a super simple and easy way of getting the skin done on our Clanrats. Alright, we'll use a shade paint in a more of a conventional way now. We'll be applying Nuln Oil all over the metallic details. Remember to soak up any excess pooling. Nuln Oil has helped to dull down our metallics and fit in really nicely with the Skaven aesthetic. With our shade applied to the metallics, we're now going to do a light dry brush of Screaming Skull all over the model. Screaming Skull is perfect for this, as it is an off-white that works well with all of the paints that we've applied on the model. When doing an all-over dry brush, we don't want this to be too overpowering, so remember to gently brush over the model, picking out the raised details. Focus the dry brush over the skin, cloth and red armor. When doing a dry brush, we're looking to work the wet paint off the bristles onto a paper towel. Move the brush around, just seeing how much is left in the brush before applying it to the model. If you want to know more about dry brushing, we have a Painting Essentials video all about it. Screaming Skull is a great paint to use for an all-over dry brush, as it really helps to make the model pop for hardly any effort at all. Right, with the dry brush complete, there's only a few more details left to pick out. We're going to use Flesh Tearers Red again to pick out the eyes and tongue. When picking out the eyes, try to use the tip of the brush and gently tap the paint over the eye detail. A good trick here to help with the application is to hold your breath if you can when applying the paint, as this helps to steady your hand. If you do make a mistake, just tidy back up with Grey Seer and then reapply the Targol Raid Shade. Once that is complete, we'll then pick out the tongue as well. With those details done, we've just got the tail and a few extra little bits to pick out. Alright, almost there. We're now going to thin out Caribou Crimson with a little bit of water and then apply it over the tail. Like the skin, this is a quick way of getting all of the tails done for your Clanrats in no time at all. It also looks really good as well. Once that is complete, we'll use the same mix and apply it over the nose and inner ears for a little bit of extra colouring. This is a simple and effective way of adding some character to your Clanrats. Caribou Crimson works a treat over the tail, and the extra colouring on the facial features brings our Clanrat to life a bit as well. For our last paint, we're going to use Nazdreg Yellow to pick out the talons, claws, teeth and the little bumps that we can see on the tail. Nazdreg Yellow is the perfect contrast yellow for this, as it is a really warm and dirty yellow that fits perfectly for the Skaven. Try to be as neat as you can when applying the paint and enjoy the process. It's a really satisfying way of completing the model. And there we go, our clan's Verminous Clanrat is complete and looks awesome. He's been such a great model to paint. We've gone ahead and based him as well using Sterling Mud texture paint and then dry brush Screaming Skull over it. For the rim, we use Skavenblight Dinge, but you can use whatever paint matches the rest of your army. If you want to know more about basing, you can always go check out our Painting Essentials videos all about it. Okay, so now we're going to quickly go over a few alternative color schemes for the other 4 main clans. We'll just be showing how to paint their robes. The clans Moldar are makers of monsters, feared and reviled even by their fellow Skaven. They utilize the most appalling fleshcraft to create grotesque living weapons and then loose these stretched together horrors upon their foes with gruesomely effective results. For our clan's Moldar Clanrat, we'll load up on Gore Grunter fur straight from the pot and apply all over the upper robes. With the upper robes done, we'll paint the lower robes with snakebite leather. Okay, with that done, we're now dry brushing Screaming Skull over both the upper and lower robes. Be nice and gentle and it will pick out the edges of the raised areas of the robes, giving a nice subtle highlight. And there we go, a dark and dingy scheme that just works perfectly for Clans Mulder. The Clans Eshin carry out their murderous business in the dark corners of the Under Empire, hiring themselves out as spies and assassins. So attuned to the shadows are these mysterious Skaven that they can breach any fortress and locate any mark, fulfilling their kill contract with a well-placed blade. Right, for our Clans Eshin clanrat, we'll use Black Templar over the upper robes, flooding the area and then letting the contrast do the work for us. With the Black Templar done, we're doing the lower robes with Griff Charger Grey for a really nice contrast to the upper robes. Now that both are done, we'll do a dry brush highlight with Grey Seer. Grey Seer is an off-white that will highlight both colours nicely. Just remember to be gentle with the application, as too much of it will overpower the Black Templar robes. Clans Eshin has one of the coolest schemes, and these colours look great together. Of all the children of the Horned Rat, it is perhaps those of Clans Pestilens who are the most pious. These deranged zealots exist only to spread their weaponized plagues, unleashing these biological horrors upon their enemy in advance of their headlong assaults. For our Clans Pestilens clanrat, we'll use Black Templar over the lower robes. As always, load up the paint on your brush and almost drop the paint over the area where you want to apply it. Okay, we're now going to use Soulblight Grey, a shade paint, to paint over the upper robes. This paint works wonderfully for a dirty white robe that contrasts the lower robes nicely. When applying the shade, let the first layer dry completely before coming back to do another if you want to. This will avoid any unwanted tide marks. With that complete, we're now going to do a dry brush using Grey Seer over both robes. I absolutely love this scheme. Soulblight Grey over the upper robes works so well and contrasts the Black Templar really nicely. The Warlocks of Clan Scryer are madcap inventors and weaponsmiths who delight in the creation of warpstone-fueled engines of mass destruction. Though they are all too happy to sell these murderous weapons to the highest bidder, they turn the most devastating ones against their many foes. For our Clan Scryer clanrat, we'll use Snakebite Leather to go over the lower robes. And for the upper robes, we're using Militarum Green. Finally, we'll use Screaming Skull for our dry brush highlight over the robes. This scheme is so much fun to paint. The green works so well with the brown and looks really good. And there we go, all of our clanrats are done and look awesome. Contrast and shade paints work so well for getting the robes done nice and quickly in order to get your clanrat on the battlefield in no time at all. In this video, we've shown you how to quickly and easily paint the colours of some of the most storied clans of the vast swarms of Skaven, quickly tackling the leather and cloth details that you will find on your Skaven models. Remember that you can apply these techniques to other models in your Warhammer collection as well. We've had a lot of fun with this video and we hope that it's given you the inspiration to get your Skaven painted and on the table, ready to conquer all in the name of the Great Horned Rat. For more tutorials, tips and tricks, check out our videos on the Warhammer YouTube channel or head to your local Warhammer store where our amazing staff will be more than happy to help. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this video and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye!